Okay, let's talk about customizing SharePoint document libraries with Power Apps. So a little bit about myself first. Based in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the co-founders of SharePoint Gurus and the Compliance Tracker 365 SharePoint app. I was a Microsoft MVP in SharePoint from 2007 to 2011, Time Magazine Person of the Year in 2006, and my LinkedIn, X, Twitter contact details are there if you want to reach out after the session. So there are a number of different options for customizing lists in within the environment. So JSON formatting is a very popular option. See a lot of presentations here within these sessions on that. Just like Saeed presented, Power Apps is a great way of creating a very customized environment. And if you've got the skills, then SharePoint framework can be a great way to really take control over that full canvas. But what I want to show today is an option that's not maybe as well known, which allows you to customize the SharePoint forms with Power Apps. So why do this? Well, there's a number of benefits. The user interface is presented to as soon as the user goes to work on your SharePoint list, they're going to be presented with the custom interface. They don't need to don't need to launch a separate application or anything like that. You get a lot of flexibility in how you want to lay those controls out on the canvas. You can add additional validation logic quite easily to the forms. You can change options so that users may not be able to select, the options available for users may be restricted depending on their permissions or the current state of the form. Another benefit is that the guest users are still able to interact with these Power Apps, these customized SharePoint forms using Power Apps, whereas normally guest users aren't able to use Power Apps forms. So that's big benefit there. There are a few drawbacks. There's a bit of a learning curve in figuring out how to make the changes that you need. And there's less information available online about customizing SharePoint forms in this way, certainly compared to all of the information out there on working with Power Apps. All right, so before we delve into the anatomy, let's just bring up my demo environment here. So we're just working with some documents in the scenarios kind of for employee onboarding, can be anything really. So looking at our document library at the moment, this is just a out-of-the-box form. If I go and open up these properties here, this is the standard edit form experience that you get out of the box. I'm using a customization here, just some JSON formatting on a text field here to give me this edit properties button, but we haven't actually customized the form at this stage. So to customize the form, I simply go to the integrate menu into Power Apps, and I have the customize forms option there. It's going to take a few seconds, so let's switch back to the slides. So the main components that we're going to be working with that we'll see within Power Apps Studio when it finishes loading is we'll have an app component, SharePoint integration component. You'll have a screen, and the screen component will include a form component. And within the form, generally, you're dealing with lots of data cards that represent each of the individual fields within the form. There will be a data source back to the lister library that you're customizing. You can bring in other data sources if you want as well. We'll have some variables there if we want to if we need them. All right, so now we're in the Power Apps Studio. We can see those objects that we talked about here, the app, the SharePoint integration component. Our main visual component here is the screen component, which contains the form component, which we can see here. By default, for some reason that I don't fully understand, it doesn't bring through all of our fields, but that's okay, because if we edit our form component, we have a fields property here, And from here, we can just add in the additional fields that are already existing in our library. Just pick a few here to fill out the demo. Use that one and this one here, and we'll add those. So those fields just get added to the form. We can see these data cards, which are the controls that it uses for visualizing the field and its label. Those just been added to our form just pretty basically here. So my first trick, I like to add a text control to the form. So just from the insert menu here, got my text control. I'll just move that down here out of the way of the rest of the information. And I'm going to change the value of this to the 1.0. If I go back to my tree view here, I can see that control sitting here on the screen. This is just really something that I use during the development stage, so I'll usually name it something like debug. All right, so that's our initial version of the form. We go ahead and publish that. And that's it. We've published, we've customized our SharePoint form, and we can now experience it. Let's just take a quick look at what the out-of-the-box experience is like. So our buttons appear down here in the bottom. It has quite a specific look, and the look is a little bit different when we see the Power Apps, the default Power Apps form. So I'll just refresh my browser here, and hopefully that will be enough to bring through the updated version. That seems to be the case. Okay, so you can see slightly different look here. Our save and cancel buttons appear up here rather down at the bottom, and the default look is definitely kind of got a very strong kind of Power Apps influence. You have a lot of control over that, as we saw from Side's demo. So we'll come back to this text control in a second, but the next thing I want to talk about, show, is adding some additional validation logic. So what we want to do here is on the save event, we want to customize, we want to add in some additional rules here. So in this case, we're looking at our SharePoint integration object, the on save event, and that just submits the form. Let me expand out the text here. I'm just going to, want to do one more thing before I do that. The field names, the name of the field controls are pretty terrible. The data cards have relatively good names, but these start getting kind of relatively meaningless. So I'm just going to come in here and change this and say it's my status combo box. So I'll give it a name that I find easier to work with. And then just going to add an if-else condition into the SharePoint integration on save event. So rather than just submitting the form, it's going to check to see what the value of that status combo box is set to. If it's draft, I'm just going to show a notification message just for demo purposes. If it's not draft, then it'll do the submit form event. So now I'm going to change my text label here from version 1 to version 1.1. We will publish that. And so now when I come back into my control here, even if I refresh my browser, we'll usually see that the latest version of the form hasn't come through yet. So if I open up this, it's kind of hard to tell whether I'm working with the latest version or not without this text control here. So is my validation logic there? I could spend, and I certainly have spent, hours testing forms with wrong versions. With this, I know that it hasn't picked up the version 1.1 yet, and so I can just close that, refresh it again, and usually 2 refreshes are enough. And okay, now we've got version 1.1, so now I know I'm working with the most recently published version that I did in the form, and we can just validate that. I'll set that to draft, which will fail my save condition, which will give me this notification showing up here. But if I have that set to review and hit save, it goes through and makes the necessary change. All right. So the next thing I want to To another trick, I guess that I use is this an idea of a process field. This is not a field that the user directly interacts with. It's one that we use behind the scenes. So generally, this would be hidden in the final version of the form. Um, so the way I use this is I set the process field to true when the form is saved through Power Apps. And then I can do some checks. I can hide fields. I can use that kind of indicator to trigger off different rules. So the first thing I need to do to make changes to this data card is unlock it. Do that there. That allows me then to change the properties of the data card. And in this case, the property that I want to change is the update property, which is here by default. That just pulls through the value. And instead of that, I'm just going to hardwire that to use true. So if I save through the form, it's going to set process to true or yes from the SharePoint perspective. So I use my trick of updating my version number there so that when I publish this, back to my form, we'll do one refresh. Is it a 1.2 yet? Still at 1.1, so no point testing it yet. Another refresh. Still 1.1. So the third one should definitely do it. There we go, 1.2. So that should have the logic built into it. I don't have to make any changes. As long as I save the form, then we'll see that process is enabled. So what I would normally do is within the views, I can maybe hide items that have process set to true. So that kind of takes them out of the user interface, prevents other users making changes while it's in the middle of being processed. And then once the processing is finished, I reset this field, which brings them back into the user interface. This would generally be then paired up with a flow along these lines. So when the list item or the file is created or modified, I'm going to check that process field. If it's true, I'll do stuff to it. I might be renaming that file. I might be moving it to a different folder. I might be going through a validation or approval process, whatever it might be. Once that's finished, I reset that back again to false, making it visible again through the user interface. All right, those are kind of the main or the couple of points that I wanted to show off with what you can do with SharePoint Forms for this demo. I have some links available here in the slide deck, which I shall make available. Maybe potentially another time we can show how you can migrate your forms that you've customized from one site to another site or tenant. There's a great article in Microsoft Learn on the SharePoint form integration. There's a white paper from Microsoft as well on how to do that. And of course, there's the Power Apps 911, Shane Young's videos on all about Power Apps. That's it from me.